Hi, friends.
Welcome back to
Wish You Love Podcast.
I'm Jazmine.
And I'm Marilyn.
And thank you so much for tuning in again. For those of you that are new, welcome to our episode. We drop episodes every Tuesday, so hope you join us for this journey. Also, feel free to follow us on all our social media platforms at Wish You Love Pod.
Yes, and be sure to share this episode with a friend if you feel that they need to hear this message. Take out your journals and let's read that opener question.
So as we wrap up the month of March, we know, for those of you that have been on this journey and know that we've been really emphasizing luck this March, that has been our theme for this month. And so to wrap up the month and to finish off with this theme, the opening question today here is, what is one moment that you've felt lucky this month? So start thinking, for those of you listening, What is that one moment? Reflect on this beautiful month of March and what has...
Good month.
Yeah, what has been the luckiest thing that you can think of that has happened to you?
I have mine.
All right.
Okay, so I had my first evaluation as a professor this month of March, and it was actually last week. So it was very nerve-wracking. So my boss, the dean, evaluated me, and before, my class that day, it was on a Monday, I was just so nervous, and I'm like, oh, I just want to be perfect. I just want her to see what I know I can do, right? So I was going to do a whole different lesson plan and do something really good, like a grammar lesson. But then I realized, no, Marilyn, just do exactly what you had planned on doing before you knew that she was coming. And so I did exactly that. And my students knew that my boss was coming to evaluate me, not them. And they were amazing. And I did my thing, and I did stumble once, but it was because the book had written something wrong, and I'm like, why does it say this? And it was just, there was a moment where I stumbled, but as I was walking around, she did whisper to me really nice things, and she had asked me where'd you get the video from? Is that from the book? And I was like, no, it's from YouTube, and she really liked the video. And then she even emailed me a compliment on my evaluation, and then she even called me about something, and she was like, and by the way, I just want to tell you your students are so engaged in your lessons, and you're so patient. And she's like, you can tell that they feel very comfortable with you. And I was just I felt like a lucky girl, because not only did my evaluation go well, but I really just feel yeah, I got this. I know what to do, and I just need to really own that position and just know that, that confidence of, you got this. You don't have anything to worry. And for future evaluations, I'm sure they'll always be nerve-wracking. But after this one, I'm it went really well. So I feel very lucky for that moment. And especially that she was open enough to tell me 3 times, compliments. And it means a lot to me. So that's my lucky moment of the month.
I love it. As you were talking about this, I was thinking how in the beginning you mentioned, you told your students, they're not here to evaluate you, they're here to evaluate me.
Yeah.
But it just happened to be that, because of their behavior, it goes to show, right? The dean wasn't here to check out your students, but it happened because of the good energy and, the things that she noticed, wow, they're really focused. That shows a lot from, you. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really good.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with that.
Love it. All these blessings and lucks this month.
And what about you? What was your lucky moment of the month?
Mine, the first thing that came to my head was I went to Disneyland.
Yay!
And I think we talked about this before in the podcast, but when you go to Disneyland, I swear it just feels like you're not in real life. You're in another universe.
World.
Yeah, exactly. And so I felt very lucky to be able to just go to Disneyland. I know that that's not very accessible to everyone. And I know that, I was lucky to be able to get a Monday off. I was lucky enough to be able to walk with my sciatic pain right now. I still pushed through, and I was able to enjoy everything. And I just felt very lucky. And it's funny because when we were grabbing food, Angel and I sat down and I literally expressed to him like how I was really happy to be with him there, because this was like the one time I was not planning or thinking about like life or what are we doing this week or work or anything. Like I was truly like the only thing on my mind was which ride are we going to go next, or like where should we go now, or just living in the moment. And so yeah, I would say that was my lucky moment of this month, like of happiness and luck, and just overall like I felt really good.
Oh, yeah, that's really nice. And I was going to say that it was so crazy. I think Angel posted it, but they went on Midway Mania and they got like the exact same score. Like I've never seen that in my life. Like of people, it's like a game you play and then everyone always gets like a different score, and they got like exactly 90,000, I believe.
Yeah.
What was your favorite ride that you went on when you went?
Cars.
The Cars Land ride?
Yeah. Yeah, Cars was fun. And even that, you guys, it was so lucky because we waited in line for over an hour.
Oh, wow.
I know. And we were about to give up, but Angel and I were like, no, we made it too far. Like, just stick through with it. And a long story short, it ended up raining. So they closed the ride completely until the rain was over because it was like lightning too.
Oh my gosh.
I know. But we were like, dang, like we waited this long and like now we're not gonna be able to like ride it. Now we're gonna have to come back later and like remake the line. And luckily they gave those, what is it, like those fast pass?
Oh, yeah.
Because we had waited that long and like it wasn't our fault. It was like lightning. So we just felt even that we're like, oh, it was so worth it. Like how lucky like we get to like come back. And like, yeah, sure enough, we were able to ride it like twice, I think, after.
Oh, wow, twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. I guess the hour was worth it because it's like 30 minutes, I guess, for twice.
Right.
Oh, that's very nice. How exciting. And they were celebrating their anniversary. So very special day. Did you guys get the anniversary pin?
No.
Oh.
We were too in the moment of like rides and
to go up
food.
to the
that we did it. But it was still really magical. And
good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I hope everyone listening has their own lucky moment this month. Take a good look and reflect about this month, because even things that are small can be like really lucky. So
exactly. And if you feel comfortable, definitely comment down below if you're watching us on YouTube, and if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then you could definitely comment on our latest Instagram post and say my lucky moment was, and let us know, because we would love to respond to you and know what your lucky moment was. Okay, so I'm going to read our question of the episode. Okay, so this question actually starts off with a quote from a video that I had seen on Instagram from the TV show Shark Tank. And so I will put it on our story when this episode drops. If you're watching or listening to this episode when it's not the drop day, then it'll be in our little highlight reels. You'll see it. It'll be there. Okay, so the quote is, "Your most valuable commodity isn't money, it's your time. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. Time gone by is gone forever." And the journaling question is, am I present in the now or living in the past or future? How can you take steps in your life to live more in the now? Jazmine, did you want to answer this question first?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love this quote. I know before we started filming today, Marilyn had read it to me, and I was like, literally, I just looked at her like, and then she looked at me like, I know. So I love it. I hope you guys really reflect on this question, because I think it's an awesome question and also like a cool quote to live by and to think of. The way I'm going to answer this is I am definitely not present in the now. I feel like I know there was a certain part of my life where I was more focused on my past. And that was after college graduation. I had been going through I don't know what to call it. Like it was just like post-grad depression, I guess. It was also during COVID, so it was weird. And so I kept living in the past in the sense where I know I would tell Angel or like my friends all the time, like, I don't know what to do. Like it's just work, and I come home and like I remember like the good times when I would have classes and I would have like my sorority like activities and things to do. And so I just really focused on like my past. And it wasn't until like Angel had, kind of poked me and was like, you got to stop living in the past. Like you got to focus like on the now or on the future. Which then led me to think too much on my future. So now I'm over here like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get married. Like I'm planning on like moving out and like this and that. So I think definitely I don't live in the now, and thinking and saying it out loud, it's kind of sad to say and to, even admit it. I think I should be more present in the now versus in the future or back then in the past. I think the steps that I can take to live more in the now is just to stop overthinking so much, like try to meditate more and do things that fulfill my soul and my heart and just enjoy the now. Because I know that these moments, it's like everything in life, right? Like you are going to think about the future, like that next marathon that you want to run. And then when you're on the next marathon, you're going to think, oh, like remember when I was, in my previous chapter or training. Yeah. And so I feel like living in the now should be very important. It should be something that we all implement in our lives, because there's going to be a time where you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, I wish I would have spent more time, doing this or hanging out with these people, because now this next chapter, it's like, it's completely different. Maybe like those people in your life moved away or, aren't as accessible anymore. And so, yeah, I think definitely that's a way that I think I can slowly try to live more in the now. I think for sure just reflecting and doing more mindful things for my soul and for where I'm at in life right now. But yeah, I think that's how I would respond to it.
I love that, once again, just like in the previous episode, Angel is the one that is, challenging how you're thinking about your life. And that's great that he's there. It's interesting how it didn't bring you to the present and instead brought you to the future. But it's definitely a struggle, I think, that all of us do have, So I will say mine is a little different, but a little bit the same, because I do agree with Jazmine that I feel that I am not really living in the present. I do feel like I am more so living in the future. So I do have a little, sorry if you guys hear a lawnmower. There's a lawnmower, and I would think that he'd be done by now, but he's just not done. But I hope with my editing skills, it'll just zone it out. I definitely feel that I am just somebody who is money hungry. I'm going to be very honest. Like that is just a trait about myself, is I'm very much money hungry. So a perfect little story for this, the intro quote going into the question was that, Anthony and I are actually planning to go to Walt Disney World. And so I had planned our trip around my work's spring break, because I work at a school. So I actually work at an offsite campus for our college. And so I was told that we had to abide by both districts' schedules. So like, for example, the first week that I started working, we had Monday off because of my school. And then the second week we had Monday off because of the other school that on site that I'm working at schedule. So we abide by both. So I didn't know when the other school's spring break was, but I knew when mine was as a professor at that college. So I had set up my trip for that spring break. I'm like, perfect. We're going to have 3 weeks off. Okay, great. And then I got an email three days before spring break. And then they tell me we're not taking our college's spring break. So I'm supposed to be working when I'm at Walt Disney World. And I'm like, what? The problem is I want to be in the classroom. Like I want the students to learn as much as they can until the semester ends, because there is a lot of material to go over. But as well, like I'm losing out on money because I'm part-time and we don't get like summer or spring break pay or anything like that. And so that little voice in my head was like, Marilyn, but God does everything for a reason. Maybe you need this break. But I'm like, no, I need the money. And it's like, no, you just need to enjoy the moment. Like, you're going to Florida. Like, that's a crazy trip you never thought you were going to go on this year. And so to answer the question, I'm going to repeat it. Am I present in the now or living in the past or future? I definitely feel like I'm living in the future, because the reason why I'm so hung up on the money, I don't have any kids. I don't have anything I really, really, really need the money for, but it's because of the future. It's because I want to buy a house, but it's because I want to get married. It's because I want to have kids. It's because of the future. And I'm constantly thinking about the future when I should just be living in the now. Like, wow, I get 3 weeks off and I'm going to Walt Disney World. Like, so I think how I can combat that, I think it's really just practice and checking myself when I'm thinking too much in the future. Although I don't think it's a bad thing. I do think it's good to prep for the future and not be too much in the present. I do think that because, if I know a lot of people that are in the present, they kind of never think about what's ahead and they kind of just stay stagnant. I think thinking about the future does help you proceed in a timely manner and as well in a smooth course, because you've set up everything. But I think it is too much when it's affecting how you're living now, So I think it's just enjoying every part of every day, So enjoying that drive to work, enjoying, not rushing, trying to get there because I need to get there at a certain time, or that's you living in the future, you thinking about, where you need to be and all that stuff. And that's natural. But I really do think it's just pretty much practicing living in the now and also staying off my phone. I feel like your phone puts you in this plane that isn't here. And that's not practicing living in the now. For instance, when Jazmine and I were going to get pancakes after this, and we really, when you're hanging out with your friends, it's so important when you're just in now. When I'm talking to you, I want us to be talking to each other, not me talking to you, but my brain is like, oh, but I need to go wash the dishes at home. I need to do the laundry. You know what I mean? Be in the now. We only have so much of our lives until we pass away. I can't take my money with me to the grave. I can't not take that Walt Disney World trip when I'm dead. So it's we have to remember that we only have one life. We only have a certain amount of time. Hug that friend, go on that trip, enjoy yourself, and stop living in any other time period but now.
I love that so much. You've made me think of so many things. I was like, oh, I'm going to say this. And oh, that's so I love it. First off, yes, I think practicing is the best answer in the sense where practicing these steps, because again, kind of tying into what I said, you're going to reflect back and be like, man, those were the days or those were the times. You're always going to think like that. And it kind of made me think of COVID, COVID, when COVID happened, I remember so many people were kind of wow, I wish I would have hugged that person a little bit more, because it was during that time where they passed, or you had to be a certain feet away from the person and you had to wear a mask. I think even going out to eat during that time period, right? It was man, I wish I would have I don't know, really sat and enjoyed being in a restaurant environment. Because I know back then it was only takeout, or you had to, it was all these weird regulations. So it's funny because we went through that event of COVID, and yet that should have been enough to kind of teach us.
Wake us up.
Yeah, okay, let's live more in the present. But yeah, once it passed, it was kind of okay, we're back to how we are, work. Let's go, let's think of our future. So yeah, it made me think of that, and I was like, wow, very well said. We have to remind ourselves again and not wait for another nationwide thing to happen or something in our life, but just reflect and practice now and not wait until something like that happens to make us wake up and live in the now. Another thing that I wanted to touch base that I really liked that you mentioned, and it made me think of a small story too. I talk about Angel a lot, you guys, but it's just because he's like truly like my favorite person in the world. Like I love him so much. And Marilyn had mentioned we had just celebrated our anniversary this past weekend. And this is actually the first time I share it. So I'll share it here and then I'll share it with you. So when I first met Angel, I want to say like about a year later, I had found this ring on TikTok. It was a beautiful ring. And I had told him that I really, really wanted that ring. Like it was just like my dream, like, I don't know, engagement or just like my dream ring. And I had sent it to him and he, took note and we left it at that. Like it was just like, I really like this ring. I really like this ring and I, hope that it can one day like be mine. And that was that. That was like years ago. We're talking like 4 years ago. Well, at my anniversary, he presented the ring to me. Aww. And so he gave me this ring. And at first I was kind of tripping because I was like, oh my gosh, like, is he proposing? Like, is this like my engagement ring? But to, stay on the story and like why I'm sharing this is because he presented that ring to me because he said that it stood for our relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend. And how that is so meaningful because we've been so like, again, living in the future, like planning, like, oh, like, babe, by next year, like, we're going to be married, hopefully. And like, by next year, we're going to be moved out and like all these things. And so that ring was his way of symbolizing like boyfriend and girlfriend, like what it meant to be like just a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And I love how he presented to me that way, where it was like this ring was more than just like, oh my God, my engagement ring or something that I had expected in the future. It was like, no, this is your symbol of like before you can go anywhere in life with a person, like you always start off with a relationship, right? It's always, you have to be boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. But you have to start there before you could even move forward to the next step in life. And I know, girl, I was crying the whole day too. Like I like literally his parents walked in and like they got kind of panicked because they saw me crying. Like what is happening, right? And I like had to explain to them. I was like, no, your son is making me cry, but it's like happy tears. They're not like sad tears. And they're like, okay. But yeah, it made me think of that because it's like so true. Like that was the symbol of like focus on the now. Like right now we are boyfriend and girlfriend. Like let's enjoy the little that we have left before we get, move on to the next chapter in life. And so yeah, I wanted to share that with you and with everyone because it was very special and it did make me think kind of like what you said, like I'm focused on the now. Like that was such a meaningful now thing.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
I was also tearing up because it was similar to something Anthony and I were talking about. And it's similar, obviously a little different, but I had told him this is what was making me tear up because I see the parallels with our relationship and stuff. So I was telling him how I was talking to my friends Rochelle and Brielle, and Brielle had asked what was our first picture Anthony and I had taken together, and I had sent it to him in the group chat. We're kind of like on FaceTime, like on the phone and stuff. And I had told Anthony, I was like, this is my first time that I was like, I can tell we're getting older. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I am not 20 anymore. I'm 26. He's 27. Like I love that you said like the boyfriend girlfriend stage. And it's so important to enjoy this time because next it's going to be fiance stage, and then it's husband and wife stage, then it's mom and dad stage, and then it's grandma and grandpa stage. It's all these different titles that we're going to share together. And I'm seeing it happen because we're turning 6 years in April 12th, and I'm just like, wow, this is my first time that I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, we look so young. And it's not that we look old now, but you can tell we're aging, we're getting older, our faces are more mature. Like my eyes were so big and like, pupily when I was younger, and like
you can tell that we were so young, so I was just tearing up because it's kind of similar of just recognizing where we're at and where we're going as well. But that's still being in the present because you're appreciating like where your relationship is and how far it has gone. So it's like just because we're in thinking about our past or reflecting or planning for the future, as long as you don't let that overtake your everyday, I think it's like a healthy balance to always think of appreciate everything you guys have gone through, but also enjoy the now and plan for the future. So it's really just finding first, like I had said, of course, that practice, because right now we're living the future, that practice, but finding that balance after the practice, because all are important and they all do make up who you are and where you will go.
This is such a meaningful, right? Like making us think. I think the last thing I do want to share with you guys that I also thought about is I had also seen this quote on social media, and it had said, God will give you everything you need to make a pizza, but it's up to you to like make it, right? And so I don't know why I just thought about it right now in the same sense. And I literally made pizzas yesterday. So I'm like thinking about it, that moment. And I think that's so true. And it kind of relates to this episode in the way where when you're making a pizza, like with all these ingredients, like you want to enjoy every step of it, right? Like laying out the dough, and yesterday we were like wiggling it around and trying to make it like, into the perfect circle or into a heart, and like just basically enjoying every step of the process before putting the pizza in the oven. And even when you take it out, like enjoying that first bite of that creation that you made. And so I feel like that's kind of an analogy as well in terms of like life, right? Like you don't want to just think about eating a pizza. Like you want to think about the steps that it takes and enjoying
Savor every bite.
Yeah, savoring the bite, enjoying how you put each placement of like the cheese or like the pepperoni or whatever like toppings that you decide. Like that's the best way to do it. Like I hope all in all, I feel like this message is really just practicing. I love that you said that, like practicing and trying our best to live in the now and not get so caught up in your future or reminiscing your past either.
I absolutely love this episode, and I hope you all answer this question in your own journal and, reflected on where are you? Am I dwelling on that breakup and, reflecting on the past too much, or, I used to look like this, and just reminiscing on just what used to be? Or like maybe you're like Jazmine and I, like so many goals, which is such a great thing, but just also living too far ahead and not in the now. Or maybe you do live in the now and you're like, I kind of need to find that balance of preparing for the future and appreciating my past. Wherever you are at, we're happy to be here and, have you in your earbuds or on your speaker, and we're grateful for you, and we're just happy that we're all going along this life journey and hopefully finding that balance of every part, as we go along.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And again, a lot of gratitude. And we feel like the luckiest girls in the world to be able to do this, have a space to communicate and think and share and have you guys listen and be part of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots of gratitude and love to you guys. And above all else, we wish you love.
Bye, friends.